Another person who has views of his own is Pa Mola Njoh Litumbe, who feels that the 1961 reunification was built on a faulty foundation. He was one of the speakers during the colloquium. When George Kelong and I spoke to him, we first wanted to know whether the event in Buea meant anything to him.
The winning members of the World War II designed that to stop any causes of a world war, the United Nations, to which all the nations of the world should belong, should draw up a constitution which will ensure that any complaints are nipped on the bud and there would be no Third World War. So they drew up a constitution which binds all member states who apply and are admitted to the United Nations. One of those states is La République du Cameroon, which had gained independence on 1st of January 1960 and applied and was admitted a member of the United Nations on 20th of September 1960. At the material time, we in Southern Cameroon were still a UN trust territory, firmly under British colonial administration. If we were one country with La République at that time, there would have been no necessity for the UN to come and consult us in a plebiscite on 11th of February 1961 to inquire which big brother we would join, whether La République du Cameroon or Nigeria. This establishes that we were a separate country quite apart from La République du Cameroon.
But we decided to join La République du Cameroon.
When you say we decided, the UN came and asked British Cameroonians, since you cannot raise sufficient resources to mount a sovereign independent government, which of these two suitors would you like to marry, Nigeria or La République du Cameroon? It turned out that the girl said, I would prefer this gentleman. That by itself is not an act of marriage. It is at that point that the man preferred starts initiating the process of matrimony.
No, but you are talking here about a gentleman who already had a status, so the girl naturally comes in and fits into that status.
But the United Nations is the overriding law. And that provides that in order for you to get married, you go before a civil status registrar with witnesses. And if you accept the type of marriage you want, he is the one authorized by law to declare you husband and wife. If you just see a pretty girl from the university and you say, come and stay with me, when we graduate, we can then get married. You can even be performing the customary bedmatics of a married man. But you are not married because you have not gone through the statutory provisions by the Cameroon government that if you want to be married to a woman, go through this process.
But the United Nations endorsed the results of the plebiscite of February 1961.
That was the father of the girl saying, I have heard you, my daughter, as to the choice you wish to make. That is all. The United Nations provides for this in its constitution, Article 102. That says that if a member state of the UN, as La République had been since 20th of September 1960, wishes to join some other territory, he says you are free to do that. But at the point when you are entering the UN, you enter with your international boundaries. If you are going to join some other territory, this will cause a variation of your boundaries, which the UN has got to adjust because the Secretariat is the registry of all independent countries throughout the world.
Mola Njoh Litumbe, from the way you talk, it's as if you've never recognized this union.
No. I have told them that you could live with a woman, but that does not necessarily mean you are married.
What do you make of the Fumban Conference and the constitution that was adopted later?
When Britain had announced publicly that Nigeria was going to become independent as from 1st of October 1960, the Colonial Office hurriedly prepared a constitution for Southern Cameroons, because on 1st of October, the governor of Nigeria, Sir James Robertson, was to surrender power to Dr. Nnamdi Azikiwe. The British government could no longer administer the UN Trust territory, for which they signed an agreement with the Trusteeship Council on 13th of December 1946. They could not hand it over to the sovereign Nigerian government. So on 12th of September 1960, the Colonial Office in London prepared a special constitution for Southern Cameroons called the Southern Cameroon Order in Council, 1960. It was put before the British Parliament in Whitehall in London on 16th of September 1960, and it became law on 1st of October 1960, the day Nigeria was granted independence. That constitution provided for Southern Cameroons the post of Commissioner for Cameroons. He more or less inherited the powers hitherto vested in the expatriate Governor General of Nigeria. They took those powers and vested them on the Commissioner for Cameroons, a white man. The Constitution provided for two houses of Parliament, a House of Chiefs and a House of Assembly, an independent judiciary, and several others. But it reserved certain powers to the Colonial Office in London. Those powers were foreign affairs and defense, and to some extent taxation. So until the end of the trust over Southern Cameroons, the government of Dr. John Foncha had no constitutional authority to discuss the foreign affairs of Southern Cameroons.
Sir, the union has been on for
53 years.
What if somebody tells you that you are now crying over spilled milk?
No. If you lose your shirt to a thief, and he's been wearing it, and then suddenly you discover it on him, and you say, "This is my shirt." He says, "But old boy, I've been wearing this shirt. My sweat has been in it." Does that absolve him from the crime of stealing?
But we are talking here about a family in which very few people are disgruntled.
No, I don't know when you talk of very few people are disgruntled. I can assure you that if that position was genuine, what is the problem then that we are discussing about? Cameroon will just come and say, well, if I had to agree with this girl who also loves me, if your analogy is correct, let us get together, draw up ourselves a contract of union, embodying what both of us agree, and file that at the UN. That resolves the matter. That is why my strong recommendation has always been, if La République loves Southern Cameroon, and Southern Cameroon, according to you, the majority love La République du Cameroun, what stops you inviting Southern Cameroons to go into an agreement acceptable to both of them, sign it, and file it at the United Nations? The matter is ended.
Where we stand now, 53 years since the 1961 reunification, where do you think we should go from here?
I am not opposed to La République du Cameroun joining Southern Cameroons. In fact, it's a bigger country, and a bigger country is better to play with. But Amadou Ahidjo and Tafawa Balewa, before the plebiscite, they were summoned at the United Nations. They were asked, supposing these people vote Tafawa Balewa to join Nigeria, what are you going to offer them? Tafawa Balewa said, I have the eastern region, the northern region, the western region, and the federal capital of Lagos, where all these regions converge in parliament. We have been with Southern Cameroon for the past 40 years. If they also wish to join us, they too will be a region with the same perquisites as any of the other regions, and we will all meet in the federal parliament in Lagos. That is my offer. So they said, thank you very much, Alhaji Tafawa Balewa. Alhaji Amadou Bello, what would you do if this Southern Cameroon, following a plebiscite, decide to join you? He said, well, these people are my brothers. We have grown up in different cultural heritage. The British tradition, we French. If they decide to join the independent state of La République du Cameroun, we will discuss the matter with them on the basis of equality. That I envisage creating a federation of two states equal in status. And we will then meet in the federal parliament in Yaoundé. So the UN came here on the 11th of February 1961 and offered Southern Cameroonians the two alternatives. If you decide to join Nigeria, you will be a region in Nigeria. If you decide to join La République, you will be a federation of two states equal in status. In other words, you will continue to do your own things the way you want. La République will do the things the way they want, and you will meet at the apex in Yaoundé. It was on that basis that the majority of Southern Cameroonians, following the bad experience of the Igbos, because we were administered by Nigeria through Enugu, the Igbos, they held all the top positions. The people in Southern Cameroons had nothing. Even in the market, they controlled it. A woman will want a piece of cloth, they'll just cut it and pay. Where are you going to complain? So that animosity prompted people to vote heavily to join La République because they had been promised a federation of two states equal in status. Where is the state of Southern Cameroon now? It has been swallowed. How do you do that? When the terms of association had been publicly stated by the president of La République du Cameroun, it is all documentary. Whatever I'm telling you now, I could prove it chapter and verse. It is not of my imagination.
Now that we are talking about national unity and integration, what specifically are the kinds of things that you would propose that should be done now to remedy the situation?
The terms of joining were a power-sharing arrangement, not annexation as we have it. We are like a conquered people. It's like when Hitler overran France in the Second World War. He used Frenchmen to administer the country. So even as it is now, I don't know whether you are a Southern Cameroonian or you come from another part of the country, but he can recruit somebody here and make him prime minister. But he is answerable to him, and he holds office at his pleasure. That is not participating in government. So working for La République du Cameroun, as I saw the masquerade at the colloquium, apart from, I would say, one learned professor, he's now retired. Everyone else who spoke in favor of the status quo is on the payroll of the person who is doing it. We don't have any rights at all. Everything now is rammed down our throat from Yaoundé. That is not the basis on which we joined, and I am alive and telling you this.
Even in this era of decentralization?
What is decentralization when everything emanates from Yaoundé and then they just tell you do this, do this? I am about 6-7 years older than the president. I am still alive because I have unfinished work to do. All my contemporaries have ascended to heaven.
And how soon will you complete that work?
You should help me to complete the work in your own best interest. And I would urge you, please, to report what I say faithfully so that all Cameroonians can have it.